Today, I'm going to share with you the communication secrets that your boss won't tell you. When I speak with South Asian men and women on the phone, the common thing that they tell me is that when they don't get promoted, which happens very frequently, the feedback that they get from their bosses is that they should work on their communication and leadership skills. The conversation stops there because the boss really does not tell them exactly what do they need to work on. And the reason being, if your boss is a Westerner, they don't really know what exactly is missing in your communication. And also, with the DEI efforts, they also don't want to be politically incorrect. So they avoid having that conversation. So many times you probably have gotten this feedback. They tell you you're doing a great job, keep doing whatever you're doing, and we will see in the next 6 months or 1 year. And then the 6 months go by, a year goes by, and you're still stuck in that same position. The thing is that a lot of Westerners don't really know what exactly is missing in your communication. It's not that they don't want to tell you. Well, some people who are insecure, they won't tell you, but generally they just don't know what is missing and they feel helpless. And they, like I said, they want to be politically correct and they don't want to offend you. So you are stuck. You don't know exactly what you need to work on. A common thing that I have heard and I have seen, and I have done it too. People go to Toastmasters to improve their public speaking. You sign up for, courses to improve your communication. Some people go for accent improvement to sound more like the Westerners. But what works for others might not work for you. That's why I don't recommend that you copy others. Don't copy their accent, don't copy their values, because you are you and you bring a lot to the table, which is why you got hired. I'm Dr. Mrinalini Garg. I am a career advancement and leadership coach, and I help South Asian professionals who are ambitious, who want to get to that next level, and despite their qualifications and expertise, they find themselves stuck in the middle management box and they find it hard to break out of it. If you are one of them, I am your person. I will help you get out of that middle management box and help you establish your authority and be seen as a leader so that when opportunities open up, you are the one who is on the top of the short list to get that opportunity. So today I'm going to share with you, I'm going to break down for you what exactly you need to work on when it comes to communication skills. If you feel that you can't speak English, like truly can't speak English, then yes, you will need to learn English. But I have seen most South Asians speak English, which is understandable. And if that's you, then don't go sign up for public speaking classes unless you are planning to become a public speaker. But if you are struggling with establishing an executive presence, public speaking is not going to do anything for you. Why? Because when you get that feedback that you need to work on your communication skills, it's not about what you say, it's not so much about what you say, but how you say is very important. And today I'm going to share with you a concept called as linguistic style. So when it comes to communication skills, there's verbal communication and non-verbal communication, and I'm going to dive into both. I will first talk about non-verbal because it is very, very critical to help build that connection with your audience, to build that authority, to be a part of the team, feel a part of that team, and not feel like you don't belong there. So nonverbal communication plays a huge part when it comes to making an impact. So when I think about non-verbal communication, I think about how well are you connecting with your audience. That is the most important part when it comes to non-verbal communication. The second part when I talk about non-verbal communication is your decision making skill. If you are someone who can quickly make decisions, and the decisions could be something is discussed and you jump in and contribute to that conversation, that is, again, if you quickly make that decision, yes, I want to go share my opinion, I want to share my idea, I am going to counter an idea that was shared, or I want to support that idea that is being shared in the meeting. How quickly you do that is very crucial. And most South Asians I have seen struggle with speaking up quickly. They are very good when it comes to when they are spoken to, but they struggle because they are overthinking, they are over analyzing, they are worried about their accent, they are worried what if I sound stupid, they are worried what if my accent is not so great, what if I don't have all the information, I don't want to make any mistake, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. And because they're overthinking and over analyzing, they miss out on speaking up and showing their decision making skills, because they are not able to make that decision to speak up, even though from within there's that voice basically screaming at them and saying, go share that idea, share that idea, but they are just not able to do it because they are in their head tossing and turning that idea in their mind. And in that duration, someone else in the meeting shares that exact same idea and they get the spotlight. So, how well you connect with the audience and your decision making are the non-verbal sides of communication. Now, when it comes to connecting with the audience, that's where linguistic style plays an important role. There's a social linguist, she's an expert on what is called as linguistic style. Her name is Deborah Tannen, and she has done a lot of research on, why women are seen a certain way, why immigrants are seen a certain way, and she says that how you speak is the most important part. It has nothing to do with your English. Of course, you have to be understandable, but you don't need to have Shashi Tharoor level of vocabulary. You don't need to build that kind of a vocabulary. So if your English is understandable, you're good. So what you need to focus on is the linguistic style. So let me share a slide with you. So it's important to understand when we talk about how you speak. So what is linguistic style? So before I go into what you need to, or how you need to speak about, and how you are assessed and how you are seen and perceived by others, I will go into that, but let's understand what linguistic style is. So basically, it's influenced by, your country of origin, your cultural and social influences on how you speak, how you communicate, right? So it's basically, culturally learned signals by which we communicate. and then interpret other people's meanings and evaluate one another as people. So it's very important to understand what your own linguistic style is, what the other person's linguistic style is, and how can you bridge that gap, and how can you mirror each other, which does not mean that you have to copy them, and you will find that out in just a moment as I go deeper into that. But we are constantly assessing the other person, and we subconsciously make those decisions about, yeah, I like this person, or I think this person is leadership material. This person would be great for this more juicy and high visibility project. That person probably is not. So your bosses, your senior leaders are observing you. They are not aware of the linguistic style. They don't necessarily know that's how they're assessing it, but they are doing it subconsciously. And bosses really don't know about this concept of linguistic style. So they give you very superficial feedback. So let's dive a little deeper into linguistic style. So when you're speaking, do you jump in immediately, or do you take the time to speak up? If you jump in immediately, you are perceived to be a more confident person. Now, what comes out of your mouth, it does not really matter so much. There has been research done by, World Forum, MIT Sloan Management Review. All a lot of research has been done in this area, and what comes out of your mouth is not so much important. So a lot of you who hesitate about your accent and your English, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But how quickly you jump in the conversation and participate, that matters. How much you pause, when you're speaking, your pace of speaking. A lot of Indians I have seen, we speak very fast, and people lose track of what's going on, and many times we speak so fast that they don't understand what we are saying. So they move on to someone who's speaking more slowly, more clearly, and then they understand that person, and subconsciously they're making that decision. Oh, I don't understand what Rekha is saying, or what Ramesh is saying, right? And not everyone has the patience. A lot of people do ask clarification. Well, Ramesh, what do you mean by that? Rekha, explain me more about what you're basically saying. Now, some people are more open, and they will ask these questions, but in today's world everyone is busy, so nobody has the time to really keep asking and keep digging and get the answer that they want, because they have a lot of work as well. So you want to be mindful of how you're speaking, your pace. It's very important to understand that you might be actually speaking faster because you're nervous. You want to just get done with it. So even though you want to explain it, but because of your own, it could be lack of confidence, it could be nervousness, it could be anxiety, whatever it is, you are going really fast, but people are not connecting with you. How direct you are or how indirect you are. Now, I have also seen this is very common, because culturally, how we are brought up, we generally speak indirectly because we don't want to ruffle any feathers. For example, I was in a meeting. It was a non-work related meeting, and I was really shocked when there was this white guy who basically said, my mom is a horrible cook. And I was just like shocked. Why? Wow, how can anyone say that? Because I was never brought up to say anything about my parents, anything wrong about their parents, or, you know, point out their mistakes. So that was just like a shock for me. But it's just matter of factly, if his mother was a horrible cook, she was a horrible cook. But we shy away from being direct. We shy away from pointing, things that are not amazing, right? We just like sugarcoat it, and we go round and round and round and round about, instead of saying I really don't like your idea or I disagree with your idea. So keep that in mind. um, I have also seen a lot of South Asians, especially women, they apologize profusely even for like a small mistake. That is positioning you as someone very weak. So keep that in mind. If you apologize too profusely for little things, you're not going to be considered as leadership material. Then there's figures of speech. You know, how you is your language very flowery? Are you using slang, American slang? That matters. Do you crack jokes, or are you very serious in the meetings and people are just like, oh my god, she's so intimidating, I or he is so intimidating, I don't want to talk with them. Do you ask questions? When you ask questions, how do you ask those questions? Do you, when you're explaining something, stories, do you explain by giving stories? Storytelling is a great way to connect with people. I mean, this is why, you know children, like, you start telling a story and children just like, and then what happened, and then what happened. And guess what, even as adults we love stories, right? The reason we watch movies is because there's a story. The reason we watch novels or read novels is because there is stories. Non-fiction books, when there are examples, case studies, we love that because it's a story. So if you're not using story and making that concept easily understandable by the audience, you are losing out on them. Then the tone of your voice, are you speaking very meekly, you're using a passive aggressive tone, or you're just being very angry? That again is, people are going to assess that. And I have seen that a lot of South Asians are very passive aggressive, because they don't speak directly. They have a lot of resentment in their mind. So when they express their displeasure, it comes out passive aggressively versus being very direct. Rate of speed, how fast, how slow you speak. Degree of loudness. So these are, and there are more components to what forms your linguistic style. So it's very important to understand your own linguistic style, understand what the other person's linguistic style is, and then see how you can, match it. And you don't have to change yourself to do that. There are just a little tweaks. Now, here's the thing. If you want to grow in your career, it's your need. So you want to make the changes that are necessary. And this does not need a lot, but you need to know exactly what your linguistic style is and how you can change that. And this is something that I help my clients. We provide them scripts, to what to actually say, which is the verbal communication part, and I'm going to dive into that in just a minute. But in the non-verbal communication, I help them understand, their linguistic style, and I teach them how to use their body language, how to use the tone of voice, and all those things that really matter. And it's really hard to assess your own linguistic style. So having a coach in your corner definitely helps you show up as an influential person in the meetings, team meetings, boardroom, uh, one-on-one meetings, interviews. It's very important how you show up. And the more aware you are of your linguistic style, the more powerful you're going to feel about your own communication. And you won't worry about things that don't matter, that, oh, my English is not so good and I have this accent and all of that. That has nothing to do with how you show up in the workplace. So let me stop sharing this, and I want to talk about verbal communication. So, when I think about verbal communication is literally strategies, right? Literally just like a script that you can use during high stake conversations, right? Whenever we are in meetings, we know that when we share something, there will be some people who will agree with our idea, and then there are other people who will disagree with our ideas. And it's okay. The problem is that we prepare only for people to agree with our ideas. But if they disagree, we have no plan. And then we shrink and we hide under the table like a scaredy cat. And there are dominating personalities in the room, and we don't know exactly what to say and how to say it. So, when it comes to verbal communication, you need to know exactly what you will do if somebody criticizes your idea. How do you handle that criticism? How do you assert your opinions, especially if there are a lot of people who are talkative, who are extroverted? How do you make your voice heard? How do you stand up for yourself? How do you advocate for yourself? That is the verbal part of communication. Taking charge of the conversation is what sets you up as a leader. If you are lost in the conversations, then you're lost. You're not visible, you're not being seen, you're not being heard, and people don't really see you. And if you are that kind of person who believes that my work will speak for itself, I mean, the sooner you change that thought process, the better for you. Because your hard work is not going to speak for yourself. You have to represent yourself and showcase your hard work and showcase your accomplishments and have conversations with people that matter. On a different note, you probably all have heard this thing. You are the average of the five people you hang out the most with. So if you are hanging out with people who just put their head down and do the work, you're gonna feel that that's what you need to do. But if you're hanging out with people who are stepping out of their comfort zone and are speaking and um, showing up, you are going to change just by hanging out with them, just by seeing them. And this is one of the greatest things in our coaching program, that people get to work in a group coaching setting as well as one-on-one setting. So we customize your leadership roadmap for you and help you master it. So you work with people who are actually on their way to get out of their cocoon and become comfortable speaking up, even if it is very uncomfortable for them. So it's very important that you hang out with people that are going to help you evolve and become your highest version, where you're not holding yourself back, you're being authentic, you're willing to show who you truly are, versus trying to please people and putting your head down and telling yourself, I don't want to create any trouble, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, or I don't want to ruffle any feathers. If you are not comfortable sharing ideas which might not be popular, you won't be seen as leaders. You will be seen as meek and submissive, someone who's unambitious, even if you have a burning desire in your heart to become a leader. So, communication is not public speaking. Communication is not speaking good English. Communication is not having a huge vocabulary. Communication is about how well you communicate, how you speak. So, like I mentioned, when it comes to, just to summarize, When it comes to communication, there are two parts. There's verbal communication and there's non-verbal communication. Under non-verbal communication, your linguistic style is very important and your decision making is very important. When it comes to verbal communication, you need to know how to handle criticism, how to assert, even if there are dominating personalities in the room, and you need to take charge of the conversation. Now, in our program with our clients, we actually give them scripts. So, if they are meeting with a senior leader, how to start the conversation, even what to write in that email to initiate that conversation. If you meet somebody in the corridor, how to initiate that conversation, make it meaningful, not just talk about the weather and sports and do the small talk. If they are meeting with their boss, to have one-on-one one-on-one conversation about raise and promotion, we give them the script and we role play different scenarios of what can happen in that meeting. If they are in team meetings, we give them scripts about how to handle criticism by others. If there are dominating personalities, how to use verbal and non-verbal communication to continue to advocate for themselves. This is what your boss means when they say improve your communication skills, and they are not going to tell you this, like I said at the very beginning of the training, because they don't know. They either don't know or they don't want to be politically incorrect. If you are someone who is looking to rise in their career, to step into leadership roles, or you are in a leadership role but you feel that you're not as effective as you would like it to be, you crumble when there are dominating personalities, which is holding you back from getting ahead in your career, and others are getting credit for all the work you're doing, don't waste another month. Let's talk. Let's work together. If we are a great fit, go to www.unshackledcareerwoman.com/call and hop on my calendar. Let's have a conversation and let's get you in and transform your leadership trajectory. Until next time.